My name's Taylor Lefin. I'm an artist and writer from Sheffield, and I play roller derby. It was a little over 4 years ago that I started skating for the Sheffield Steel Roller Girls, and it's no exaggeration that it changed my life. I was suddenly a part of this whole new community and friendships that became vital to my personal growth. Time moved on and I improved, eventually making it onto the A team of the league. I was a head coach and the bench manager for the B team, everything that I could wish for. But in February of 2015, I walked away. I felt that I could no longer represent for this team. I couldn't be a roller girl because, well, I'm not a girl. So I packed up my kit and moved forwards, switching teams to Sheffield's Tier 1 men's roller derby team, the Inhuman League.
I've had my one holiday for the year, Ireland.
Okay, I've never been to Ireland.
Beautiful. Just went camping all over the southern bit with my dad.
I did Belgium, Copenhagen and Berlin this year. Belgium was for skating, so I was like, I think I came in just before then.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was my debut skate for Till. I trained really hard, got on the roster, travelled all the way to Belgium and got injured within the first 30 seconds of the first game.
Oh.
So, what is roller derby anyway?
Roller derby is a full contact sport played on roller skates. Games consist of two 30-minute halves between two teams of 14 skaters. 5 players per team take to the track at the start of each 2-minute jam. These 5 skaters consist of 4 blockers and 1 jammer. Jammers are aiming to score points by passing the opposing blockers, while blockers are tasked with preventing that from happening. They do this through forming physical walls with their body or hitting the jammer off track with their shoulders or hips. Team with the most points at the end of the game is the winner.
I just really love the game. I love the strategy of the game. You get to skate really fast on silly boots. I really enjoy being a part of the team that I'm a part of.
It's a great sport because you do see so many sports which are so gender biased, I guess, mainly towards males. I guess we don't really see the point in differentiating in a sense. It's, if you want to skate, you want to skate.
It's the fact that they don't think of me as being this sort of fragile, vulnerable person that validates me on a kind of weekly basis.
Finn can play as well as any of us, better than some of us. They've played derby for a long time. They're playing well in the team. That's what's important. So no way is it a disadvantage.
It's about technique. It's not about gender at all.
Taylor seems happy, always got energy on the team. Finn as the person, I love him, yeah.
But they seem a lot calmer, they seem a lot happier here. That's not to say they didn't like SSRG at all, but they seem to have fitted in quite well.
One of the really refreshing things about the derby community is that there is a fairly large amount of trans inclusion and representation within it. I'm in contact with hundreds of gender variant skaters, internationally and also close to home. Amazing and inspiring people. People like Claire, also known as Xenomorph from SSRG.
It's not just the sport, it's the whole atmosphere around it and the support you get from the league with other stuff. It's just this really awesome queer collective of people, or not entirely queer, but a much higher percentage than regular life. Compared to all sorts of other sports, they're much more trans-inclusive. Like, just looking at the rules for other team sports, it's practically impossible to play, and some of the rules are actually impossible to play. I feel compared to a lot of other spaces in the world, I don't have to justify myself and why I'm here. My teammates accept me, and I can exist without having to constantly justify myself, and that's hugely refreshing and makes doing things much easier when you're not having that worry in the back of your mind of, are people doubting who I am?
It's always going to be invalidating when somebody misgenders you. So people within my own team know what sort of pronouns that they're expected to use. If they get it wrong, they apologise pretty much straight away. It sometimes happens with other teams, and that can be really invalidating, and it's an extra pressure when you play in as well. Wearing a binder to skate in isn't great. It's necessary for me right now to feel comfortable with the way that I present. The knock-on effect of that is obviously I get very, very warm, I get very, very out of breath. Roller derby's a exhausting sport anyway is definitely an obstacle, and one of the things that I genuinely can't wait to be rid of. My entire team will just show up and just go to the changing room and get changed for the bout, and if they need to take a piss, I'll just go and do it. If I turn up and I generally have to have all my clothes on already underneath my clothes, not because I necessarily feel like I couldn't go in the changing rooms with my team, but just that it's another extra thing that I'd rather not have to have a problem with on the day. It's true that the community is much like a family, offering support outside of the skating aspect. Effectively facing homelessness in the summer of 2014, it was Jenny, Steve and Bob that took me in, helped me get back on my feet, and were amongst the very first people that I spoke to about my transition.
When we did have a nice chat, and Taylor told me for the first time that they were going to join Till, I was like, oh, this is fantastic, because this is going to make my research so much more interesting, you know. And it was like, here's a consent form, sign it. It started off, the idea was to focus on masculinities in men's roller derby, because it's not really been looked at before. Mainly when people write about roller derby, they look at women. Because I've been working with Till for the last year, doing an observation, number of interviews. As I've gone through, it's become clear that masculinity isn't necessarily that important to a lot of them, but also I'm looking at things to do with identity and belonging and seriousness in the sport. It's not often been looked at when you've got like assigned female at birth athletes who are playing with men's teams. It's something interesting to have a look at, but to also explore it from the point of view of both the athlete themselves and also their teammates. The MRDA has, it's called a non-discrimination policy, and it states who is allowed to play for men's teams in terms of gender. It just says that they won't make a distinction between people who are cisgender male and people who are non-binary, and that if men's roller derby is the one that you feel comfortable playing, then you are welcome. In terms of the changes in Taylor himself, I've noticed since the summer that Taylor stayed here that they've just become happier and happier and more comfortable with themselves, with their own identity, in their own skin. And I think it's not just about the team. I think Emma's got a lot to do with that as well. So I'm quite emotional. I don't know why. It's just to see, just to see Finn be.
Another thing that I have roller derby to thank for is that it's where I met and subsequently fell in love with Emma. Her acceptance and belief in me continues to push me forwards, and when things have been tough, we've faced them together. We were together for how long before I came out to you?
Oh my God, yeah, because it was that night in Wakey, wasn't it? Because we were going out for a few months, and then we went to go to that bar, and then they wouldn't let you in. Rude. And then you came back to mine, and that's when you got really upset about it, and then started telling me that you kind of didn't identify as female.
I mean, at the time, your sort of dramatic response was to tell me to butter your toast. That was I gave you all the vulnerability, all of the kind of, I feel like if we've been going out long enough, I probably need to have this conversation with you. It's just very difficult for me. I've not actually said these words out loud. And your reaction was to be like, can you butter my toast, please? It's been one of my priorities, is that you feel like you have some support with it, because it's definitely not just me that it's happening to.
For me, it's a bit scary, because it's you're going to change the way that you kind of look, the way that you smell, the way that you act, and the way that you sound. So all these tiny little reasons why I kind of fell in love with you in the first place are all going to change. And I think it would be good to for me to meet with someone either in the same situation or who has been through the same kind of being a partner.
As precious as I think our relationship is, I don't even want to think about the idea of not being with you. But we did say, didn't we, like any or each of these changes combined could and does sometimes like kind of cause people to not be able to be in relationships anymore with one another. But that's just any relationship though, because people go through sort of changes in their personality, and they grow and sort of develop in ways that maybe that person that they're with doesn't quite fit with them anymore.
I wouldn't say that you're a better person. Like, you've always been an amazing person. I just think you're a lot more confident and kind of got more self-esteem. If you'd stayed with SSRG, then I don't think you'd have ever kind of been fully comfortable with who you are.
Being with SSRG definitely felt very gendered. That played massively into sort of my insecurity with my body image.
Oh my God, you were
Massively.
so thin when we started like hanging out.
I was kind of towing that line of not taking great care of myself, being quite underweight, because it satisfied that kind of part of me that wanted a less gendered kind of frame, and that was getting commented upon in terms of what that meant about my functional strength. Then I did start trying to get like well again.
I fed you loads of mashed potato.
You did. You did make me a lot of mashed potato. So then when I made the switch over to skating for the Inhuman League, I was suddenly the smallest kid in class, and I really didn't want to be the smallest kid in class anymore because they were like considerably bigger than me. It's the tightrope. It's like I want to be stronger, but I don't like the feminine attributes that come with gaining weight are difficult to kind of weigh up.
You got like really buff, didn't you? You started going to the gym like all the time. You got ridiculous.
I've gone from being like quite established in the team that I was in, and then I've kind of moved to this team that the skill set's higher, so I've got to push myself to be good enough to be a member of the team, because I kind of feel like I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. The cisgendered guys on my team, they already have testosterone. They don't have to go to the gym as often as I do to get the results that they kind of want. So that's kind of frustrating because they get to be a little bit more lazy. I feel like I have to kind of work a little bit harder in terms of putting myself on more of a level playing field. Being involved in sports giving me the opportunity to have a better relationship with my body, because it's given me the opportunity to shift the focus somewhat away from how my body looks to what my body can do. Moving onwards into the next year, I'll be playing amongst the highest level of men's skaters in the country, alongside navigating my medical transition. I'll be aiming to connect further with other trans skaters and helping to provide opportunities for them to come together through our shared love of skating. I'm also absolutely thrilled to be a part of welcoming Leo into the Inhuman League as he moves up from the juniors this year.
Gender identity does become less of an issue when skating, just because you're all aiming for the same goal. Even if you don't do well at a competition, you've still got the thing of, well, I gave it a go and I put my all into it. So it gives you that sense of oomph and that you've done something that you're proud of.
Looking back, I hate to think what direction my life may have taken if it wasn't for finding roller derby. It certainly didn't seem to be heading anywhere good. But being a part of this community has connected me with some of the most amazing and supportive people. It has taught me that I'm not the only person in the world to feel this way about my gender, that I'm far from the only skater in roller derby to face these issues, and that I'm not even the only trans skater in my city or even in my league. It reminds me that I'm connected, I'm supported, I am valid, and that whatever direction I'm headed, I'll be going on skates. So yeah.
Look at you screaming.
there any more questions?